Good morning, Vanave Africa. We are live. This is your favorite current affairs show, Africa Good Morning, and the news making headlines across Africa are coming right up. My name is Aina Raizakoyo, and alongside me is Ashwin Berry on a Thursday. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday indeed, and today is International Animation Day. Animation is everywhere these days, and most of us have been raised on it, starting with our Saturday morning cartoons that we enjoyed with a sugary bowl of cereal, straight through to our favorite video games and movies of today. Our view of the world has often been shaped by this amazing art form. Do you have any cartoons you loved as a kid?
I love Fifi and the flower tops.
Fifi,
forget me not.
I loved Baba, the story of the elephants. It was a royal family, beautiful story. So here's a video on International Animation Day.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Sudan anti-coup protests enter third day, PM held under guard. Protests against a military coup in Sudan entered a third day on Wednesday, with Prime Minister returning home and under guard. Demonstrations backing the planned transition to civilian rule continue despite security forces arresting several protesters and tearing down makeshift barricades, including clearing rocks and tires blocking the road in the capital, Khartoum. Hamdok and his wife were returned home under close surveillance, his office on Tuesday said, while other ministers and civilian leaders remain under full military arrest. The coup comes after 2 years of transition outlined in the August 2019 power-sharing deal between the military and civilians after the ouster of the former president Omar al-Bashir.
Climate crisis is a code red for humanity. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Tuesday that the climate crisis is a code red for humanity and that urgent action is needed before it is too late. In 6 days, world leaders will be put to the test at the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, Scotland. Their actions or inactions will show their seriousness about addressing this planetary emergency, he said. The world is still on track for a global temperature rise of 2.7 degrees Celsius, a far cry from the 1.5 degrees Celsius target to which the world agreed under the Paris Agreement, which is the only sustainable pathway, he said. Over the last 76 years, this assembly has gathered the world around crisis after crisis to build consensus for action. But rarely have we faced a crisis like this one, a truly existential crisis that, if not addressed, threatens not only us, but succeeding generations, he said.
AU calls on EU to recognize African COVID-19 vaccine certificates. A senior official at the African Union Commission Tuesday urged European Union member countries against a policy of not accepting COVID-19 vaccine certificates from the continent. Last month, the UK announced a policy of not accepting COVID-19 vaccine certificates from the continent, which authorities says could increase vaccine hesitancy. England announced its initial list of countries from which it recognizes a vaccine, with none of them being from Africa. About 4.5% of African population is fully vaccinated, well below the average of about 55% to 66% in levels in Europe.
Human rights ambassadors to hold demos against Tonse Alliance government. Civil society organization under the banner Human Rights Ambassadors has said it is planning to hold demonstrations against Tonse Alliance-led government to show its dissatisfaction with how it is governing the country. One of the Human Rights Ambassadors' executive members, Richard Mpepo, confirmed the planned demonstrations to the media. According to the grouping, the cost of living is becoming expensive day by day as prices of essential commodities keep rising. However, government spokesperson Gospel Kazako has condemned the grouping of rushing into organizing the protests. Kazako has since appealed to stakeholders to give Tonse Alliance time to fulfill its campaign promises.
Potential water pollution from coal train derailment. Mozambique's Regional Water Administration of the North is analyzing water from a river where a coal train derailed on Friday and is asking people to avoid drinking it. Coal is a mineral resource that can pollute water. We appeal to the population not to take any water to avoid further problems, the Director General of ARA Norte, Carlo Omar, said. This appeal is made as a form of prevention while waiting for laboratory results of the analysis. At the same time, cleaning works are being carried out in the watercourse.
All right, Senegal and Rwanda to produce vaccines. Senegal and Rwanda signed an agreement with the German company BioNTech to build their first messenger RNA vaccine production plants in Africa. BioNTech, which produces the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, announced today in a statement that construction will begin in 2022 and that it is working with the Pasteur Institute in Dakar, Senegal's capital, and with the Rwandan government. State-of-the-art facilities like this will save lives and change the game for Africa and could lead to millions of cutting-edge vaccines being made for Africans by Africans in Africa, said Mashidiso Mweti, the World Organization's Regional Director for Africa Health. BioNTech said the facilities in Africa will eventually produce about 50 million doses of vaccine a year with the capacity to scale up, and said that it is in discussions to expand its partnership with South African vaccine maker BioVac, which is headquartered in Cape Town.
Kama chides relentless DIS, and this is in Botswana. 4 months after revealing to this publication that the Directorate of Intelligence and Security was planning a raid, a search warrant has been issued bearing the names of former President Ian Khama and founding DIS boss Isaac Kgosi. The properties in the court papers, guns, are stated as belonging to Kgosi and his wife Jennifer, with Khama listed as correspondent alongside Kgosi and Wana Somelu Honu Kono. Khama told this publication then that he was told that the DIS would raid his properties to search bunkers filled with weapons. He believes it is upset that they are only getting a search now, as they could have moved the weapons if they had them. My security officers are DIS. Can I hide anything from them? This is just another attempt to falsely implicate me after they failed with the 100 billion Pula fabrication. People know what is going on. Khama reacted over the weekend. Efforts to reach Kgosi failed as his mobile phone was unavailable. Media reports indicated his phone was taken by the DIS during the raid of the properties on Saturday.
Now in Eswatini, go back to work, Lizzie urges nurses. Health Minister Lizzie Nkosi has urged all healthcare workers who are on a go slow to return to work. Last week, civil servants had planned a march to the Ministry of Public Service to deliver a petition demanding a salary review. However, the National Commissioner of Police, William Dlamini, ordered the march to be cancelled. But civil servants forced their way to the capital city as law enforcers blocked them, resulting to violent clashes with the protesters. The ministry is continuing to engage with stakeholders through the appropriate forums to address any concern, Nkosi said. Nkosi lauded healthcare workers who remained at work while others decided to remove themselves from their workstations. She also apologized to the nation for the unfortunate disruption of health services experienced over the past week.
Companies must help promote human rights. The executive considers it is imperative that companies and public administration are aligned in promotion, defense and protection of human rights, said the Secretary of State for Human Rights and Citizenship, Anna Seletse Januario. Anna Seletse January also said that the Ministry of Justice and Human Rights intends to hold a series of meetings and debates on the responsibilities of companies in relation to human rights as it understands that they can contribute to building consensus and clearer understanding about implications and discussions about businesses and human rights. Traditionally, it was said that the main violators of human rights were states. Today, with the entry of new actors interested in the theme of human dignity, the range of those responsible for the violation and abuse of human rights are also increased to non-state-owned entities, she declared.
Felix Tshisekedi visiting Israel. President of the Republic of Congo, Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo, and his wife Denise Nyakeru left Kinshasa on Monday for a 5-day state visit to Israel, according to sources from the presidency of the Republic. President Tshisekedi will also meet certain personalities from the business world. He will go to Netanya University, where he will have the honor of receiving his first title of Doctor Honoris Causa, and he will also visit holy places, in particular the Sea of Galilee, Lake Tiberias, as well as the Wailing Wall or Capernaum, with the map of the DRC miraculously drawn. This visit is the second by President Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo to Jerusalem. He had already been there before becoming head of state.
At least 100 houses washed away and homeless household following rain in Mushi. The torrential rain which fell in Mushi left enormous damage in the city of the province of Maindobe. Around 100 houses have been destroyed and flooded, and several households are homeless and others hosted by other families. More than 100 houses collapsed during the heavy rain which fell on the night of Saturday 23rd to Sunday 24th of October. Several people have been injured, school collapsed, and some left without roofs. The deputy Diakas Pambe from the territory thus launches an appeal for help to the competent authorities, including the President of the Republic. Dozens and dozens of families have been left homeless. Schools and roofs have been torn down. There are many injured. Children are hospitalized. There is no longer a house, no more roofing, nothing, no more plates, no more pots. A few chicken is what we have left. Everything is gone, he said. The elected representative of the territory of Mushi asked the competent authorities to provide necessary assistance to this disaster-stricken population, which currently lives in total distress. At the same time, Dida Kepambe calls for victims of the said disaster to keep calm and be patient.
Suspension of a moratorium on new logging concessions causes concern. The government of the Democratic Republic of Congo wants to lift the moratorium on the exploitation of new logging concessions, or 70 million hectares of forest. Concerned by this decision, Greenpeace Africa has referred the matter to the African Union Commission. Greenpeace's letter to the AU is based on the Pan-African organization's commitments to biodiversity conservation. The AU's Sustainable Forest Management Framework 2020 to 2030 promises that by 2063, Africa will have zero deforestation and forest degradation, and its forests will be protected, sustainably managed, and restored through collaborative, cross-sectoral, and transformative efforts to ensure prosperity, food security, and resilience for its people. All right, this is Still Africa Good Morning, bringing you the news happening in the SADC region and beyond. We'll be back after the break.
Strike it gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get one of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neo Paints, a coat of excellence.
More than 186,000 breast cancer cases were reported in Africa in 2020, with 85,787 deaths. The CEO of the Cancer Association of Namibia, Rolf Hansen, joins us to discuss Pink October.
It is October, which means it's Pink Month, and who else to speak to about this issue than Rolf Hansen? He's Chief Executive Officer of the Cancer Association of Namibia. Hello, Rolf, and welcome to Africa. Good morning.
Good morning, Jo Marie, and good morning to all our viewers all across Africa.
Just for the one or two people who might not know what Pink Month is about, what is it about, Rolf?
So October is globally celebrated as a beautiful few days of celebrating hope and to create awareness on this terrible disease, breast cancer. Globally, breast cancer is currently the most prevalent form of cancer. But what makes it even more significant, where traditionally we looked at it as breast cancer, Pink Month has moved into women's health and women's cancers, because breast and cervical cancer both have basically become the two most prevalent forms of cancer, not only in Namibia, Africa, but globally as well.
You say that it has always been a problem in Africa. What is the current status?
If I basically look at the data for Southern Africa, where it's basically the most accurate, and this is sort of the trends that go breast cancer, most prevalent, cervical cancer, and then you have between a 51 and 56% infection rate of women, of which, of all cancers, it's the 51 to 56% infection rate. And then what you have in terms of breast cancer is that of that, between 35 and 40% of those cases of women's forms of cancers are breast cancer specific. When we look at historic data in 2010 in Namibia, we had an average of 300 cases of breast cancer alone diagnosed per year. And what we have right now is in 2017, where we've got the last comprehensive data, we're looking in the region of between 540 and 550 cases per year of breast cancer. We see that in Africa, breast cancer and cervical cancer are shockingly on the increase. And basically it's in the region of 20% to 23%. So that the diagnostic rate of breast cancer in Africa versus Europe has exponentially increased. And this is because we have lifestyle changes in Africa. Yes, definitely. But also when we just look at the cervical cancer incidence rate, HIV and HPV is still a big drama, still a big cause of concern. It's still a big challenge in African context. And that's why it is, when comparing Southern Africa, Africa, and the rest of the world, higher income countries, we are really plagued by this disease, cancer, and it's just increasing.
How important is it that women have themselves checked regularly?
Look, Germany, the reality is that we're stuck with cancer. It's always been there. It will always be there. And we need to become proactive. And like you said, when we detect earlier, when we screen, detect, and start treatment earlier, we can save lives. And it is for me very important when people ask, why do we support the Cancer Association or a cancer association or a screening program? This is the reality. You support us so we can go out and do screening. Like right now, this morning, downstairs at our medical center, we are screening 130 ladies complimentary. And this is what the National Cancer Outreach Program of the Cancer Association is all about. We want to educate women to do a self-breast examination, to know their own bodies, to go for annual screening. Because if we can do annual screening, if we can actually get to a point that women proactively know, understand, and look out for any irregularities on their body, if we start looking at health proactively as opposed to reactively, we can actually save lives. If we can actually get to a point that women do a monthly self-breast examination, at least once a year, go for a quality clinical breast examination. Once a year, if you have the funds to go and get a mammogram or an ultrasound, do it. We can actually save lives. This is what cancer is all about, proactive rather than reactive.
Rolf, thank you very, very much for sharing this message with us. And thank you very much. And cancer associations all over Africa, thank you very, very much for all the hard and passionate work that you do.
And thank you to everyone's support for any and all cancer association or cancer program. Your support makes a difference in the lives of those who truly need it.
Africa Good Morning remains your reliable source for decentralized African news. Keeping that in mind, we're going to take a trip to Zimbabwe and have a chat with Talent Gore. Talent, wamukase.
Tamuka edukana wamukao.
Tamuka. Now, in our first story, police in Harare have arrested 20 war veterans who were protesting against poor pension earnings. Could you expand on this?
So about 20 war veterans were arrested in Harare for allegedly protesting against poor pension stipends. This is not the first time that the former freedom fighters have been arrested for protesting against the poor pension stipends. In August this year, 9 former freedom fighters were arrested was protesting at finance minister's offices, where they were saying that they needed the finance minister to review their pension benefits. So in so yesterday or the day before yesterday, the police in riot gear stormed Africa Unit Square, where the war veterans were gathered, and they blocked them from submitting a petition to the president for review of their pension earnings. So the former freedom fighters, they were on their way to go to the president's office to submit their pension to submit their petition for a review of their pension funds, where they were arrested by the police. The war veterans have also accused President Emerson Mnangagwa's administration for neglecting them. They are saying that the government is not taking care of them. They are not reviewing their pension benefits. So they are saying that the government is neglecting them. So that is all on that issue. We have seen that the government has not commented on it. They have not said anything concerning this issue, concerning this arrest.
All right, the government is also clearing a passport backlog by the end of the year. Please tell us more.
A government has said that they're expecting to clear the passport backlog by end of December 2021. We have seen that government had stopped issuing passports back then, so they have started issuing passports again, and as it stands, they have issued more than 200 travel documents since August last year. The backlog had accumulated to over 400,000 by August 2020. So as it stands, they have reduced the backlog to the current 184,000. So it is also anticipating that the backlog would have been cleared by the end of 2021. The government has also partnered with a private company for a national biometric database for the production of e-passports and national identity documents and birth certificates. So the government has said that they are hoping that by the end of December this year, they would have cleared the backlog of the passport backlog.
All right, now Zimbabweans in urban areas are grappling with water shortages. This is obviously not a new development, but could you please tell us about it?
So apparently, as it stands, the water crisis has worsened in Harare, whereby we find some areas in the city they're only receiving water once or twice per week. We go for 6 days without water, and we have seen that some people are now going to fetch water from unprotected wells. So the Harare municipality has said that the demand for water is 1,200 megaliters per day, but they only have the capacity to pump only 780 megaliters. So they say that there was need for the construction of new dams as well as the rehabilitation of existing dams. And this has not been taking place in decades. So they say that there is need for the government to service the existing dams and also rehabilitate new dams. So we have seen that especially in the area that I stay in, we only receive water on Monday morning, and on Tuesday the water will go away up until the next Monday. So if we find people going to unprotected wells fetching water because we have nowhere else to find water, clean, safe water.
Now, I know in South Africa they're having issues with load shedding, and Eskom came up with an application to kind of let people know when it's going to happen. You did say Tuesday and Mondays when you generally have water. Are you generally informed of that before the water shortages, or is it varied? Is it kind of random?
It's random, so they don't inform us that water is not going to be available. So we have seen a trend that on Monday, that is when the water comes and it goes for the whole week and comes back the next Monday. So we now have our own timetable. The council, the municipality, it doesn't inform us that water is not going to be available at that particular time, but we now have our own timetable. We now know on our own that on this particular day we're going to have water, on these particular days we're not going to have water.
It's always unfortunate when the public has to depend on instinct without information, but good on the Zimbabweans
Yes.
for keeping it moving. Hopefully everything gets better. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having Talent Gore on Africa Good Morning. Something else that's always good to have is good weather. So let's check out the forecast up next. Now, if you have tuberculosis, what is your risk from COVID-19? How can you keep yourself safe during the pandemic? Why is it important that the world does not take its eyes off TB during the pandemic? Dr. Teresa Kasayeva explains this in Science in 5.
If you're living with TB, what is your risk from COVID-19? How can you keep yourself safe during the pandemic? And why is it important that the world doesn't take its eyes off of TB during the pandemic? Hello and welcome to Science in 5. I'm Vismita Gupta-Smith. We are speaking with Dr. Teresa Kasayeva today. Welcome, Teresa. Teresa, let's start with what is the risk for a person living with TB from COVID-19?
Both tuberculosis and COVID-19 affect primarily lungs, although tuberculosis is caused by bacteria and COVID-19 by virus. Keep in mind that tuberculosis is everywhere and can affect anyone, though we know that there are a group of high TB burden countries where the risks of getting tuberculosis are much higher. Also, we should keep in mind that over than a quarter of the world's population is infected with the mycobacteria. It means that you are not sick, and you cannot transmit infection, but you have higher risk of development tuberculosis. And when we are in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, these risks increasing. Evidence on TB and COVID-19 is still emerging. We're still studying on it. But we can say that patients with TB, in case if they've got COVID-19, will have more severe COVID-19, and in the same time, the risk of less successful treatment for TB is higher.
Teresa, why is it important that the world doesn't take its eyes off of TB, even during a pandemic?
Tuberculosis remain one of the biggest infectious disease killer right after COVID-19. Tuberculosis is everywhere. It's airborne infection and it doesn't know borders and nations. Every single day, tuberculosis claims more than 4,100 lives. And even during our Science in 5 talk, over 15 people lost their lives. Every year, around 10 million people falling ill with the tuberculosis. And due to the current situation and disruption of the essential services, we can see significant drops in TB diagnosis notification, and it means that access is limited. And it means also that people are not receiving timely life-saving treatment, and transmission of the infection is continued. We have all the opportunities, even during COVID-19 pandemic, to combat successfully both diseases and protect better people. Let's keep our eyes on tuberculosis.
Teresa, if you're a person with TB, how can you keep yourself and your loved ones safe during the pandemic?
Follow your doctor advice and keep your place where you live with your family well ventilated. Follow the principles of the good hygiene. Especially, it's well known for people with tuberculosis how it's important to follow cough etiquette, wear masks appropriately, keep social distancing, and if vaccines are available, please be vaccinated. Get yourself tested for both COVID-19 and tuberculosis. If you have symptoms like coughing, high fever, difficulties in breathing, remember that both diseases can have similar symptoms. Also, please keep in mind the fact that you should be tested for TB if you have history in your family or close contacts with the TB, and you've been tested with the TB infections. The risks during pandemic are growing. Remember that tuberculosis is preventable and treatable disease. Please keep yourself and your family members safe and healthy.
Thank you, Dr. Teresa Kasayeva. That was Science in 5 today. Until next time then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. It's that time again when we get into your economic news stories for the day. And we start off in Botswana as as cash-strapped Air Botswana fails to produce financials. Air Botswana has not finalized its financial statements for the year ended March 2020 as it waits for a letter of support from government, without which auditors would be forced to declare the national airline insolvent. This week, the airline's general manager Agnes Kunwana faced a torrid period of questioning by members of the Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises, who said the failure to submit the results was part of a pattern with Air Botswana. The troubled national air carrier has been in a back-and-forth legal battle with its employees, who have complained about low wages when compared to their counterparts in the other parastatal organizations. The employees recently dragged the airline to the Court of Appeal, which ruled that Air Botswana closed the 27% gap the workers are experiencing compared to their counterparts.
The DRC in search of new investment to diversify its economy. Kinshasa wants to rely on solid foreign investment in order to successfully begin the diversification of its economy. The framework chosen to start a sincere dialogue on Tuesday, the Turkey-Africa Economic and Commercial Forum, which was held on the 22nd of October in Turkey. The government, through Minister Jean-Lucien Boussam, presented the area in search of new investment, in particular infrastructure, agro-industry and textile. Negotiations have got off to a good start with a view to arousing the interest of foreign countries and other interested partners. In addition, the Democratic Republic of Congo took advantage of the forum to discuss with Zambia the issue of the multiple constraints encountered by timber exporters passing through its East African country. And in addition to this, there is also a problem related to fraud Zambian timber exploitation. The issue of peace to consolidate trade was at the center of the discussions with Angola.
10 million Maloti war chest to help youths. The government is pumping 10 million Maloti into the business plan competition that will benefit 100 youth and women entrepreneurs in Lesotho. This follows a successful trial project launched in 2019 as part of efforts to encourage entrepreneurship and tackle youth unemployment, which is estimated to be over 30%. The pilot project has since helped build 10 thriving businesses that have created nearly 30 jobs for youths and women. The BPC competition seeks to address that knowledge gap by allocating a portion of the prize money for training, incubation, and mentorship of the winners. We are looking at diversifying the economy to create jobs, alleviate hunger, empower the vulnerable groups, and grow the economy.
Sub-Saharan Africa to see mixed economic recovery in 2022. Growth in Sub-Saharan Africa's big economies will be mixed in 2022 after a year of recovery from COVID-19 lockdowns as life slowly returned to normal amid vaccination rates, Reuters poll found on Wednesday. But a pace of recovery is largely positive, according to the poll conducted from 19 to 26 of October. Growth in Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, was expected at 2.7% next year from 2.5% this year after a negative shock from almost 2% last year. Kenya, East Africa's biggest economy, will grow 5.3% next year from 5.1% this year, the poll found. The International Monetary Fund reckons it probably shrunk 0.3% last year. Ghana was expected to grow 5.1% next year from an estimated 4.2%. Like South Africa, Zambia was expected to slow to 2.5% next year from an estimated 3.2% in 2021.
That brings us to the end of our economic news stories. Up next, economic indicators.
A long way across, and with Smith coming around the wicket, it was a dangerous game to play.
Michael Lees was looking very, very dangerous. He goes for 44, Scotland 93 for 6.
chipping it in the air, straight towards Erasmus. And that's just what Namibia would have wanted at this stage. And again, Freiling in amongst the wickets. He's been crucial for Namibia in terms of picking up scalps. Mark Watt goes for 3. Bowling it into the pitch again. Namibia have assessed these conditions so well, and this is the value of having played here. They do have their 100 now.
Hello Namibia, this is your favorite girl, Top Cherry What. Are you vaccinated? If yes, a round of applause to you. If not, fear not, because we got you. Top Cherry What will be coming to a village, a town, or somewhere near you very soon to get vaccinated with you. Cool, hey? I know. Please help me so we help the rest of the nation kick out COVID. Top Cherry What? My Namibia, my country, my pride.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to get into your sports news updates. We start off in the world of cricket as the Eagles are at it again. Namibia's fairy tale run continues with a win over Scotland. Namibia kicked off their Super 12 campaign in style with a 4-wicket win over Scotland in the second match of the day at Zayed Cricket Stadium, Abu Dhabi. Scotland fought back well after losing 3 wickets for 2 runs at the start of the match and took the game to the final over of Namibia's innings. But J.J. Smith ensured that the Eagles got across the line with 4 wickets and 5 balls to spare. Now chasing 110, Namibia chose to go with caution over aggression. With the equation down to 35 off 36, Smith hit a 4 as soon as Safyan Sharif was back into the attack. He then smacked Greaves for a 6 after the wrist spinner erred in his length, serving a juicy full toss to Smith. With 7 needed off 12, Smith settled the nerves with a sweetly timed drive through the covers for 4 and eventually finished the game off with a 6 to secure their first ever Super 12 win.
Banyana trounced Mozambique again Alcon qualifier. Banyana inflicted yet another humiliating defeat on Mozambique, winning 6-0 at the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg. They won the 2-legged Africa Women's Cup of Nations qualification, tied 13-0 after having claimed a 7-0 win in Maputo last week. It took Banyana just 10 minutes to find the lead through Babanani Bane before Linda Klao doubled the lead just after the half-hour mark. Hilda Machaya continued her good form by making it 3 for Banyana before halftime. Machaya notched her brace early in the second half before Klao fittingly also notched her brace in the 50th national team appearance by 65 minutes.
Tau makes Al Ali squad for Egyptian Premier League opener. Al Ali head coach Pitso Mosimane has included Percy Tau in his 21-man squad for the 2021-2022 Egyptian Premier League opener against Ismaili. Meanwhile, Mosimane was displeased with his team's performance despite their convincing win over Niger's Union Sportive de la Gendarmerie Nationale. The Red Devils beat USGN 6-1 over the weekend to go through to the group stages of the CAF Champions League on a 7-2 aggregate. I told the players that if we want to win the CAF Champions League for the 3rd time in a row, we have to win and qualify for the group stage, Mosimane said after the game.
The cock floats knee command CSA to decide on next step. Cricket South Africa said in a statement on Tuesday they had noted the personal decision by South African wicketkeeper Quinton de Kock not to take the knee ahead of Tuesday T20 World Cup game against the West Indies. All players had been required in line with a directive of the CSA board on Monday evening to take the knee in a united and consistent stance against racism. This is also the global gesture against racism that has been adopted by sports people across sporting codes because they recognize the power of sports to bring people together. After considering all relative issues, including the freedom of choice of players, the board had made it clear it was imperative for the team to be seen taking a stand against racism, especially given SA's history. The board's view was that while diversity should and can find expression in many facets of our daily lives, this did not apply when it comes to taking a stand against racism. The board said they would await a further report from the team management before deciding on the next step. All players are expected to follow this directive for the remaining games of the World Cup, the board added. CSA thanked all the Protea players for agreeing to unite and make such an important public stand against racism.
Well, that brings us to the end of our sports news updates. We'll be back with your headlines after the break. Africa Good Morning has been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, or if you need a recap, worry not. Here are the headlines. Sudan anti-coup protests enter third day. PM held under guard. Climate crisis is a code red for humanity. AU calls on EU to recognize African COVID-19 vaccine certificates. Human rights ambassadors to hold demos against Tonse Alliance government. Cash-strapped Air Botswana fails to produce financials. And in sports, Banyana trumps Mozambique again in Alcon qualifier. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on Africa Good Morning. We do have a schedule of all NMH's live shows, and this is exactly when you can watch them. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2cents@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. That's at Africa Good Morning. We do encourage you to get vaccinated, wear your mask, and avoid unnecessary public gatherings. On that note, it's all our love and all our light. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Quarter to Friday, Swera Jakanaka.